We want to put this convention into perspective, and for that we want to welcome back Wright State political science professor Dr. Lee Hanna. Dr. Hanna, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. Of course, we just heard from Vice President Pence there, speaking really in line with the theme of tonight, America, Land of the Heroes. What did you think of that messaging? Where is this coming from, and how do you think that's relating to voters?
Yes, so they, it's been a night where they featured a number of military veterans and have really, lifted up a very, strong patriotic message. The imagery at Fort McHenry in Baltimore, that's a really cool backdrop. That's a really smart visual to use and just a neat evening. Of course, that's where the Star Spangled Banner was written. So they've both kind of embrace the symbolism, and just the speakers that they've had tonight have really driven home that theme.
Kellyanne Conway among the many female speakers who we've heard from this as we're commemorating the 19th Amendment. Can you put this strategy into perspective for us?
Yes, and in 2018, there were both a record number of women elected, in particular on the Democratic side, but also a number of women candidates on the Republican side. And the Republicans did lose, some support in between 2016 and 2018, and primarily among female voters. And so I do think that they understand that liability and have tried to use their this is both they and the Democrats kind of got 4 nights to present themselves kind of without the usual filters that they go through. And so they've really tried to embrace that message with the speakers that they've had.
You talk about this being kind of that big push. Lots of talk right now about the ratings. How do you think that these conventions, how big an effect do you think these conventions are going to have on voters? Did we lose you there?
Yes.
All right, I'll repeat that. Lots of talk about the ratings. How big of effect do you think that these are going to have, this convention and even the DNC last week will have on voters when they head to the polls?
Yes, so the ratings have actually been down for both conventions. It might be the timing; these are a little later than they normally hold them, so that could be a factor. I do think also it is hard to replicate the real packed auditoriums and stadiums full of excited partisans, and so it's hard to replicate that. So the ratings are down a bit. As far as their effect on voters, historically we've seen that the conventions have a little bit of a bounce for the candidate in the polls, but over time that bounce has diminished. It averages about 3 or 5 percentage points, and it seems to fade pretty quickly. So it's an opportunity to get your message out there and to lay out a platform and a vision. But certainly, debates and rallies and other events will continue to shape, what voters think about these candidates.
All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Lee Hanna. We appreciate your time tonight.